In this video, I will continue talking about section 1.5 on how to solve quadratic equations. In this particular video, I will go over the square root method of solving. This particular method only works when there is no middle term, like the following example. Let's solve 3x squared minus 9 equals 0. The first thing I want to do is isolate the x squared term. So let's add 9 to the other side and divide by 3. And we get x squared equals 3. Now we need to solve for x. To remove the square, I do its opposite, which is the square root. So again, the opposite of a square is a square root. So the square root and the square sign are going to cancel each other out, and I'm going to be left with just x. Now remember, when we talk about something squared, like if I have 2 squared, I get 4. And again, if I have negative 2 squared with parentheses, I also get 4. So when I go backwards, I'm going to have 2 solutions, one positive and one negative. So every time you take the square roots of something in the middle of a problem, you must put the plus minus sign in the front. And the square root of 3 is not a perfect square, so we're just going to leave it square root 3. So you can leave it like this, or if you want to separate it into 2 solutions, you can write positive square root 3 and negative square root 3. Remember that plus minus sign in the front represents 2 different numbers. Let's take a look at a different example. Let's solve x minus 2 all squared equals 4. Again, if I want to solve for x, the first thing I want to do is get rid of the square. So opposite of a square is a square root. So I'm going to square root both sides. Again, the square and the square root symbol on the left are going to cancel out, and I'm left with just plain x minus 2. And now on the right, I have square root 4. Now I took the square root sign, so I need to write plus minus. This time I do have a perfect square. Square root of 4 is 2. Now I'm going to separate this into 2 pieces because remember this guy right here, plus minus 2, represents 2 different numbers, positive 2 and negative 2. So I'm going to separate. This is going to be x minus 2 equals positive 2 and x minus 2 equals negative 2. And now I'm going to solve for x. Adding 2 to both sides over here on the left, I'm going to get x equals 4, one solution. Over here I'm going to add 2. And this time I get x equals 0. So 2 solutions for this quadratic equation, x equals 4 and x equals 0.